Then I'll start by explaining all the complex terms I'm going to use. The society of the spectacle. The society of the spectacle is the manner in which experience is controlled through representation. We as humans want to fit into the norm of representation, which leads to the society of the spectacle. The Born describes the spectacle as capitalism's instrument for distracting and pacifying the masses. The spectacle creates an illusion of everything that is seen is good, and everything good is seen. It embodies itself as an image-obsessed society. Public taste in this regard is not so much organic as it is cultivated by a profit-motivated industry. Capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system in which the trade industry is owned by private individuals for profit. A false consciousness. A false consciousness is a state in which the average member of society unintentionally accepts their role as a passive consumer within a capitalistic system. I like to think of this as a sheep mentality. To add on to this, Lorna Finlayson distinguishes between 5 different kinds of false consciousness in a book, An Introduction to Feminism. They are, for one, false belief about the world, 2. An inaccurate representation of the world, 3. An emotional response that is inappropriate to the situation, 4. The failure to notice a relevant truth, and 5. The failure to experience a certain emotional state. The culture industry. The culture industry is a system created through capitalism. It is better known as mass media among society. The culture industry influences and creates false needs only to keep us consuming things we do not necessarily need, to generate profit for people we do not even know. Commodity fetishism. In short, this term is based on the concept of use value versus social value. For example, a pair of Vince Carter Nike Sox sneakers have a much higher social value than a week's worth of food, but the use value of the food is much more beneficial for one's physical needs. All of these terms work together and has one common denominator, namely capitalism. Although this presentation is not about capitalism, it would not be a proper presentation without it. Within our South African upper middle class society, we tend to overspend and overconsume very quickly without thinking about it, which leads to an overflow of commodities that only serves us one primary purpose: to act as a more vibrant, better, bigger or prettier representation of who we truly are. Thus, we are proving that we partake in the society of spectacle while being ignorant towards our false consciousness. We are enslaved by the culture industry with our consent. This does not only affect the upper and middle class, it transcends through to the lower class as well. Here's an example. The majority of the multi-ethnic so-called colored community lives in the Cape Flats, which is one of the poorest areas in South Africa. Although the majority of the residents survive off the minimum wage, there's a new type of culture on the uprise, called sneaker culture. This culture refers to bubbles, which are sneakers with a double sole and a visible air bubble in the middle. The average pair can cost anywhere between 2,000 and 20,000 Rand plus. The culture is so deeply embedded within the colored community that Youngster CPT, a well-known colored rap artist, sings about it in most of his songs and even dedicated a song to this culture called Takkies. Through mass media, a commodity fetishism was born. Members of the bubble community valued the representation of their commodities more than their physical needs and even their ethical values, according to members within this community. In this song, Takkies, Youngster CPT raps,
"You a sneakerhead, so is it life or death when they point a gun at you for your Jordan Brits, and a gangster will probably cut off your legs for a pair of Vince Carters that's white in it?"
Throughout the whole song, the phrase continues, making it very clear that his community is characterized through commodity fetishism, enslaved by consumerism, under the spell of a false consciousness, and one with the society of the spectacle. Thus proving that Karl Marx, the Frankfurt School, as well as the Situationist International, were not far off. In fact, they have hit the nail on the head.